2+ years into this time of COVID, Ted Koppel is taking us to the streets of New Orleans for a refresher course on the healing power of jazz.
There are two words you don't normally associate with the streets of New Orleans: quiet and empty. It's not that the music ever stopped in the Big Easy, but with the ebb and flow of the pandemic, there have been times when the music was hard to share. As its name suggests, Preservation Hall was established to preserve the music and the traditions of New Orleans jazz, a place of harmony between generations. They've been open and closed during the pandemic. We were there in December. 89-year-old Charlie Gabriel is a New Orleans institution, playing here with 33-year-old Brandon Lewis, who is no slouch either. Brandon has one Grammy nomination under his belt.
50 years from now, you think you're still going to be blowing like this?
Well, I would like to imagine so, but that might be wishful thinking.
I mean, that's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Definitely.
Playing in front of people and having a communal musical experience is part of New Orleans music.
That's Ben Jaffe on bass. 60 years ago, it was his parents, Alan and Sandra Jaffe, who established Preservation Hall. These days, Ben is its creative director, committed to sharing its music.
That's part of New Orleans. New Orleans music isn't something that exists in a room by yourselves.
But Ben, that's part of music everywhere, right? I mean, music without an audience.
The nuance of New Orleans music is not only what goes on in a theater, but also what happens out on the street.
And when the streets are swept empty by COVID, as they were at the beginning of the pandemic, you go where the rest of the country's gone, online.
Come with me to New Orleans.
Preservation Hall put on a benefit concert, live stream, lots of special guests.
When the saints go marching in.
$500,000 raised went to support the 60 or so musicians who rotate in and out of the hall. Among the musicians hit hardest by the pandemic are the ones who usually work on the street. Like millions of other Americans, Dorian Ketchens on clarinet, husband Lawrence on the tuba, and daughter Dorian on drums worked from home. As many of us have learned, Zoom is helpful, but it's kind of flat. And when you can't see your audience at all, the chemistry is gone.
I can't stand this live stuff. I'm gonna tell you now.
For Doreen and her family,
Dorian, could you start the song, please? Do low.
the spark is on the street. You'd have seen the difference immediately on an unseasonably warm and sunny December morning at the corner of Royal Street and St. Peter. That intersection, as Ben Jaffe told me, is recognized throughout the community as belonging to Doreen.
You don't touch Dorian's corner.
You don't mess with them.
That corner is the Times Square of the French Quarter. She is world famous.
She is, after all, a classically trained musician. Doreen has played with the Louisiana Philharmonic Orchestra.
I'll say Dorian has played for dignitaries and presidents and all over the world, but she'd rather be right here on the street. I'm like, no. Okay.
On the street or playing with the symphony orchestra, good times, bad times, New Orleans musicians have been schooled and raised in a unique culture.
My first job as a child was a funeral.
Charlie played that first funeral 78 years ago. He was 11 back then, and most of the adult musicians were off at war.
That is something that's unique to New Orleans, is not just playing for an audience, but music becomes a way to process your sadness.
You go to a funeral in New Orleans, and you end up in a parade. It starts slow and somber.
2 blocks from the cemetery, then it picks up the tempo of the music. The second line, and they having the ball.
There's a joy that lives in this city. There's a resilience here that is oftentimes not really understood because we don't talk about it, because it's just something that exists inside the people. And I look to people like Charlie for strength at those moments.
Charlie and Ben have a special relationship.
My father would have been the same age as Charlie, and my father passed away when he was 51, and I was 16.
These past 2 years, Charlie and Ben have spent almost every day together, practicing and playing, with and without an audience.
He would come down and he would say, okay, we're going to play this song today. I learned more songs in the last year and a half. My repertoire grew by like 100 songs.
Like so many of us in lockdown, Doreen Ketchens and her family were feeling the strain.
I was going crazy not being able to play. And I tell people, even if we were out here and nobody was listening, it would still be a blessing.
But if you ask Doreen where she dreams of playing, well...
Kennedy Center, Carnegie Hall, Albert Hall.
Albert Hall?
Yeah, and then I could wear something shiny.
How about Milan? You want to go to Milan?
Oh yeah, I've never been to Italy.
Doreen would knock it out of the park because she is one of the world's great clarinetists. But what has the tourists gasping, what can get close to 1 million views when videos are posted online, are Doreen's long notes.
So you can just hold your breath for or expel for a very long time.
Yeah, but I mean, there are tricks too. I mean, sometimes if I can hold the note just long enough, they'll just be loud enough for me to just take a breath really quickly.
And keep that note going.
That's right, that's right.
We're working our way towards losing 1 million Americans. That kind of an event has to have an impact. What do you think is going to happen to our music? Will anything memorialize these times, do you think?
Well, in New Orleans, it's always the second line. You know, the first line is to honor that person, for the bereaved family to express their grief at the loss of their loved one. And once the last family car passes the trumpet player, he gives off a call, something like this. And then the crowd goes, hey! And that hey is supposed to symbolize that the time for bereavement is over. It's time to rejoice because that person has gone on to a better place. And they would release doves, and those doves would symbolize the spirit, the soul of that person rising into the heavens. Doves are not easy to come by. People still had handkerchiefs, so that's what it is. You know, you wave the handkerchief in the air.
Time for a lot of handkerchiefs these days.
Amen.
Country's in a lot of pain.
Yeah, country is in a lot of pain.
Are we going to hear that in your music?
Well, you don't want to remind people of so much pain. You want to, and in your music, you want to be joyful. You want to lift them. You want them to feel happy.
And in that spirit, we take note of the passing at the end of December of Sandra Jaffe, age 83, co-founder of Preservation Hall, mother of Ben Jaffe. I suspect she would have liked the music to be happy.